everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Katarina. Today we will continue my collection slash declutter slash plan to pan series. I have filmed one part to this previously. It was about my face makeup, both complexion products and cheek products, and today we will go through my eye makeup. So I will share with you everything that I have. I might do some decluttering. In fact, I do think I'm going to let go of at least a couple of products today. Then also I'm going to, in these videos, do kind of like a plan to pan. So for example, today I will share with you some thoughts that I have currently about eyeshadow panning. And I will say they have already changed a little bit since filming my Pan That Palette finale a couple of months ago. So yeah, I'm excited to share this video with you. These are all of my eye products. So it's eyeshadow and then the boring eye products. So mascaras, eyeliners, eye primers, stuff like that. However, I do want to say that in general, if you divide makeup to face makeup, eye makeup and lip makeup, I know a lot of you love eye makeup, especially eyeshadow. And don't get me wrong, I also do like eyeshadow and eye makeup. It's just, even when we think about eyeshadow, it's not for me something that I feel so passionate about. I like to wear it because I do think some eye emphasis looks good on me and it makes my eyes pop. However, I don't use eyeshadow these days to be creative or anything like that, and it's not typically the first thing I think about when applying makeup. I typically first pick the lipstick and then I want to pick eyeshadow that kind of matches that or goes with the lipstick. But I'm still really excited to share my current collection with you, so let's get into it and let's go through this category by category. Okay, so first we do have here my Lonely Eyebrow Pencil. This one is the Lord and Berry Brow Pencil. I don't even know what it is exactly called because, as you can see, I am pretty low with the product and the majority of the print or the writing is gone already. Back in the days I had quite a bit of brow products. I used to always have one of those skinny brow pencils, and then there was a time when I was into the ABH Dip Brow Pomade. But I think about 5 years ago or so I decided to start doing my brows with eyeshadow, and that's what I have been doing, and I don't think eyebrow products are really necessary for me. If I was to buy an eyebrow product myself, I would probably buy a skinny brow pencil because I just think I have more control with that. But the issue that I have with those, although I kinda like them, is that I go through them so quickly. So a brown eyeshadow is going to last forever on me, so I will just rather save my money and use that. But these kind of sharpenable brow pencils I don't like because I feel they need to be sharpened all the time and the application is just not so precise. This one is in my project pan. I actually got this from my sister, so I didn't buy this myself. So this one is in my project pan, and as you can see there's not much left, so I think it will be gone by November. That is my current goal. Okay, so here we do have my eyeshadow primers. I do have two currently, and I actually really recently still had the Milani eyeshadow primer, and I actually kinda still have it around. It is in my empties bag, which I have not filmed an empties video this year, but I have been collecting my empties, and I think before we move I'm going to do a video of everything that I have finished by that point this year. So it is there, and there's a little bit of product left, but I decided to declutter it because it was way over a year old already, and the remaining product started to be so thick that it was just really dry and cakey on my lids and it felt uncomfortable. That's why I decided to call it done, and there wasn't a lot left anyways. So the another eyeshadow primer I had waiting to be used after the Milani one was this Catrice Grip 2 Last Eyeshadow Primer, which I have also bought over a year ago already. And I have been using this here and there. I was hoping that this would be a nice glitter primer, but it doesn't really work super well for that. This one is like a clear eyeshadow primer, and I don't think it works super well. It's okay, it's not super bad, but it's not really good either. I would prefer a primer that has a little bit of tint to it, and that has a more smoothing effect on my lid. This one is just kind of like meh, and sometimes I do notice that this irritates my eyes. It's not necessarily that this product is expired, although it is like officially, if I look at the shelf life, it has 6 months shelf life and mine has been open for maybe 14 months. So yes, okay, it is expired. But I do think my eye area is just quite sensitive, and sometimes it might react to a skincare or a makeup product, even if the product is just fine. So I decided that because I have had this for over a year already and I don't really care for it anyways, I decided that I'm just going to replace it. So I actually yesterday got from a mail the LH Cosmetics Till the End eyeshadow primer. So I ordered this from Bangerhead because there was another product, the Paul Mitchell Super Skinny Serum, which I wanted to buy. It was really good price there. So I decided to pick an eyeshadow primer from there, and this one was the one that I wanted the most from the selection. I don't think I have ever tried anything from LH Cosmetics. If you don't know, it is a brand by a really famous Swedish makeup artist, Linda Hallberg. So this is actually now the first time that I'm going to open this primer, so I'm really excited. I do like the packaging, it's really sleek. LH Cosmetics is pretty pricey brand. I don't think, however, oh nice, this is sealed. I don't think this eyeshadow primer was really expensive. I'm not now even sure what I paid, but under 20 euros for a share, so not super expensive, but they do have some eyeshadow palettes that are quite pricey. But let's see what this looks like. This is the first time now that I see it. Okay, it is white in color, so doesn't have a tint, which would be my preference. Oh, but it's really smooth. You know what? This one actually feels like a face primer that is really smoothing. I'm super excited to try this. It's not an issue if an eye primer doesn't have any color to it, but in that case I do prefer to use some foundation under it so that the color is even on my lids. Sometimes with primers the result is cakey if I do that, but this one feels like it's going to be really smooth. So yeah, I'm excited to try this out, but I am now going to start using this one right away now that it's opened. This one actually seems to have 18 months of shelf life, so it's pretty long. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to finish this in 18 months. Typically an eyeshadow primer like this will last about a year on me, although these days I don't wear eyeshadow every day. I'm going to start using this one now, and I am going to declutter the Catrice primer. Okay, so here's all of my eyeliners. I do have 3 currently. Well, basically I do have 2 open and 1 that is a backup. And I'm actually going to today declutter my NYX eyeliner. This is something that I got from my sister somewhere in the beginning of the year. It was open when I got it, so I don't know exactly how long it has been open, but I have been using it at least like 6 months already, so I do think it's time to declutter this one, although there's still product coming out. This is a nice brush tip eyeliner. I do like this kind of pencil eyeliners that have this brush tip. These are so much easier to use in my opinion than any other eyeliner type, and I want a brush tip instead of a felt tip because you just get a more precise application with brush. I'm now going to open my backup, and my backup actually is my favorite of these brush tip eyeliners. So this one is the Physicians Formula Waterproof Ultra Fine Liquid Eyeliner. Back in the days I used to use this kind of brush tip pencil eyeliner from, what is the brand? Bare Minerals, but that one was a little bit pricier. When I found this Physicians Formula one, I have been using this one because this is really, really nice. Let me shake it a little bit. It's so nice to be opening a brand new eyeliner. Yeah, you just get such a precise application with this. I don't like to wear super thick eyeliner because my eyes are hooded and pretty small, and often with felt tip eyeliners it's just really difficult to control the thickness of the line, so I just find that these are the best. So yeah, this one I will start using now. And then the last eyeliner that I do have is the Essence Inner Eye Brightening Pen. So this one is what I use on my waterline. Back in the days I sometimes used to wear black pencil on my waterline, but I don't really like that I have small eyes and my eye color is brown, and I feel that if I wear something dark on my waterline, it's just going to close my eyes and it just does not look good at all. So I do prefer to wear something that opens my eyes, and my favorite is this kind of light color matte finish, and this pencil costs like €2, so it's really nice. I have really nothing bad to say about it. So yeah, these are now the only eyeliners that I have after decluttering the NYX one. Okay, so here's all of my mascaras. 2 of them are open and 2 are backups, and that is always my goal. I want to have a brown mascara and a black mascara. On those days when I go for like a no makeup look, I do think black mascara can look a little bit harsh and brown is just kind of like softer, but it still makes my lashes visible. But then I always wear black mascara if I do any eyeliner or eyeshadow or anything like that. So what I do have open is the Essence Lash Without Limits mascara in brown and black. This one is something that I have been using now for a while, and I have bought a backup for the brown. However, the black one was not in stock when I bought this brown one. I bought it from our local Tokmanni and they were having a sale on Catrice and Essence. So then I ended up buying from Essence this I Love Extreme or I Heart Extreme Crazy Volume waterproof mascara, and afterwards I watched some people using this on TikTok and I will say it looked pretty incredible. So I cannot wait to be able to try this out. I have not opened it yet and I'm not going to open it before I have been using this for long enough. Maybe once we move, I'm then going to switch to new mascara, but at least right now these are still going strong and I am using these. By the way, all of these mascaras do have rubber wand. That's maybe something I want to mention. I do not like brush wands at all on mascara. I just feel with my lashes I always get a really clumpy result with a brush wand. So something like this is going to give me nice separation, but mascara wands are such a personal thing. I know there are people who cannot stand wands like this, but yeah, I do prefer this. Okay, so here is still my only pair of false lashes and my lash glue. It's pretty crazy to think that I have only one pair of false lashes, even though I have never had like a drawer full of lashes. But I will say, back in the days, let's say before 2020, I was somebody who wore false lashes every day. At least every day when I put on eyeshadow, I also put on false lashes. These days, false lashes are for me really like a special occasion kind of thing. I only wear them with a really glam eyeshadow look or with a really glam makeup look for really special occasions, like let's say that we are going to a wedding or something else really special. I think where my taste has changed is maybe because back in the days I used to do way heavier eyeshadow looks, and the eyeshadow looks, because they were so heavy, I was wearing a lot of eyeshadow because of panning and all of that, I just felt that the eye look is kind of missing something without the false lashes. But now I do wear quite lightweight eyeshadow looks and I feel only mascara is enough. So maybe because my eyeshadow style is so different, I feel it's not necessary for me to wear false lashes. In fact, I feel that if I'm going for kind of like a natural-ish makeup look on every day, and then I pop on false lashes, I feel that just looks a little bit off and it looks like the false lashes don't belong there. But yeah, I always want to have one pair of false lashes for the sake of special occasion. And the pair that I do have right now is the Sadie Mini from House of Lashes. I just store it in one of these Ardell Wispies 1-packs, because this one is great for storing them. But I do like these lashes because the length is here in the middle. Back in the days I used to love Ardell Demi Wispies, but actually now I don't like them at all because they're longer on the outer end and I don't feel it works super well on my hooded eyes. So I like to have the length in the middle. And anyways, these mini lashes from House of Lashes are good for smaller and hooded eyes like mine. I have the Duo Lash Glue, and I will now admit that I'm not sure how long this has been open. Maybe a little bit too long, so I need to add lash glue to my wish list, but I'm going to keep this one until I will replace this. But yeah, lash glue totally is something that should be replaced every once in a while. It's not good to have the same one for who knows how long. And anyways, I do prefer a lash glue with brush, because then throughout the day, not if, but when my lashes come off, it's so much easier to kind of like do a touch up with the brush, because I can just lift the lash, put the lash glue there and press the lash back. With something like this, it's so much harder. Okay, so let's move to a lot of people's favorite category of makeup, so eyeshadow, and let's first go through my single eyeshadows. So in here I include all of my liquid and cream eyeshadows, and then I do have one powder eyeshadow single. These days I don't have left any actual single eyeshadows that would be living in a magnetic palette. I do have one empty magnetic palette, but that one also seems to be falling apart a little bit, but I don't have any like depotted eyeshadow or singles that I should store in a palette like that. The only powder eyeshadow single I have is the Catrice eyeshadow single. I think this is in the shade Frosted Bronze. This one basically is like a rose gold shade. It is quite pretty, but I have not worn it a lot because I do have a liquid eyeshadow that is really similar in color, but I do think this is really pretty. I do love something like this, especially in winter and spring, because this one is a little bit cooler. Another product from Catrice is their Aloe Vera eyeshadow stick. This one is in the shade Touch of Rose, which based on the name you would maybe expect this one to be more pink, but this one actually is warmer and more bronzy. It's not super far away from the previous one, but I do still think it's clearly more of like that bronze color. Anyways, this one looks really pretty when I swatch it. I do love this kind of satin finish, but unfortunately the formula of this one is awful. Like the finish is beautiful, however, I always struggle to get this one look nice on my lids. It's just that kind of cream formula that skips. It doesn't stay on, it doesn't look nice throughout the day. It's difficult to get to look good in the first place. So I'm going to declutter this. Every time I have tried to wear this because the color would be pretty, I would enjoy the color, I have been regretting it because it's just impossible to get it look nice on my lids. Moving on to liquid eyeshadows, which I do have 5 currently. So first, as you can see, I have got a good use out of this, and I have used about a half of the product. This one is the Jason Wu Celestial Lust eyeshadow, and it is in the shade Jane Doe, which is basically a rose gold. So it is really similar to the Catrice powder eyeshadow in color. Does the camera even pick it up? There's the Catrice one. There's the Jason Wu one. So yeah, because last winter I was really focused on this one, I didn't really get good use out of the Catrice powder eyeshadow, because I would be willing to keep a powder eyeshadow way longer than a liquid eyeshadow. So yeah, I do really like this. This one is a gorgeous metallic formula, and I'm for sure going to keep this. However, this is something, because of the nature of the product, it's a liquid that comes close to my eyes, that I wouldn't want to keep it for too long. I bought it last October, so I think I do want to pan this one during the next winter season. Because this one is cooler in the color, I typically am not into something like this before the new year, but once we get to the new year, I do like to wear a little bit cooler tones in winter, in spring. Maybe I will in spring change a little bit between warm and cool, but especially winter is a time when I would be into something like this. So yeah, I don't know yet if I'm going to put this one into an eyeshadow panning project, which I will talk about a little bit later once we get to the palettes, or if I will just include this one into my basic project pan. Okay, then I do have 2 of these Pupa Vamp Liquid eyeshadows. I bought these at the same time than the Jason Wu eyeshadow. I bought all of them from a store called Kaupamaja in Tallinn, Estonia, last October when we were on a wedding anniversary trip. Unfortunately, I don't like the formula of these Pupa eyeshadows quite as much as the Jason Wu one, which is just beautiful and really metallic. These ones look just like shimmery eyeshadow. They're not so metallic, but also it's not like super glittery or anything like that. I do have the shades 15 and then 13. Let me just swatch them, so then I will talk about them. Okay, so as you can see, the shade 13 is like a light gold. Absolutely stunning. And actually I put this one to my project pan. My goal is to finish it during this fall and holiday season, so before the new year. Then the shade 15 is a really white color. It seems to have some gold sparkles there, but I don't know if they really translate into the swatch or into the eyes. This one looks really icy when I do apply it, and I do think it's maybe a little bit tricky. Even though I do have pale skin in winter, this one is going to be like white. And I don't want to wear something this white all over my lid. Then if I try to blend it out, I can make it work, but it just looks kind of boring and blah that way. Then one way to wear it would be as an inner corner highlighter. I actually tried it somewhere last week maybe, and I just don't think it works best for that because it can look a little bit random. It's this random icy dot on the inner corner and it's kind of difficult to blend out. So you know, I am a little bit on the fence about this one, like if I should keep it or if I should declutter it. But I think I'm still going to keep this one because it's not like I absolutely hate it. I think the way that I can make it work is to brighten another eyeshadow with it. So for example, sometimes I may feel that the Jane Doe eyeshadow from Jason Wu is not bright enough, so then I could add a little bit of this one to make this one a little bit brighter. But I don't think this is something that I'm going to end up finishing. The gold one, however, I do want to finish. So yeah, I'm going to keep both of them for now. However, I think these are something that have left my collection by next summertime. When I start getting tan next year in spring, that's maybe when it's time to let go of this one, because I just don't think it's a realistic product for me to finish. Okay, then I do have two more liquid eyeshadows, and these are the Balm liquid eyeshadows, and I think the formula is really nice. I have not used this a lot though, but I do have the shade Rosé, which just in my opinion in the tube it looks like a bronze. However, when I apply it, I don't think it looks quite so bronzy. It is interesting, it's kind of like a bronzy base with some little bit more cool toned sparkles to it. But it is absolutely beautiful. I do think if I wear it on my lips, it just looks kind of like something slightly peachy. For sure I'm going to keep it. But the shade Bellini, I don't like this one. If you look some swatch videos or pictures, this one looks really peachy. However, I do think in reality it's just really weird. It's almost like a pinky or mauve base. Okay, on this lighting it looks really pretty because it's so reflecting, but then when I turn my hand, you can see the true color. So it's kind of like this mauve color, which in general is not a color that works at all for me because it tends to look like I do have irritation going on my eye area. But then not only is the base color something that is really not flattering for me, it does have some kind of like light golden greeny sparkles to it that just are weird. I don't like this. I wore this maybe a few weeks ago and I really hated my eye look. Thankfully I didn't have to go anywhere that day. So I have gave it a chance, but I don't like it. So yeah, I'm going to declutter it. This is not something that I want to even try to make work, like maybe the white eyeshadow from Pupa. Okay, so here's still a quick look of what I decided to declutter and what I decided to keep. So these two I'm going to declutter. The Catrice stick because the formula is just bad, and the Balm eyeshadow because the color does not work for me. But then these are the ones that I'm going to keep over here. However, I don't want to keep this many in future because if I'm going for liquid eyeshadows, like right now I at least enjoy that kind of formula, I think maybe 3 would be enough for me because I just don't think I need so many eyeshadow colors. I actually would always like to have maybe something like this, kind of like a peachy pinky sort of color, and then a standard gold, and then something that I have been thinking, but I don't need to get it right now because I can get the same eye look from an eyeshadow palette. but something a little bit darker and kind of like bronzy but not too warm. So one that I really like the look of is the iconic London Glaze Crayon in the set Volcanic, which is kind of like a neutralish brown. If I want to go for a smoky eye, I could do it with that way easier than try to build that with an eyeshadow palette. But yeah, maybe 3 is my goal for this category in future. Okay, so here's still all of my eyeshadow palettes, and I will say right away, I know this will make some people angry, but I'm not an eyeshadow palette girl. In general, I don't like eyeshadow palettes because there's always something in an eyeshadow palette that I don't like. I end up using the same shades, and I know a lot of people like eyeshadow because it drives them to be creative. They have many choices in the palette that they can do different looks. But I'm more that kind of eyeshadow wearer who goes for the same look every time. So for me, it's not necessarily to have so many options. In future, my goal is to have only one eyeshadow palette that would cover all of my basic needs. So it would need to be really neutral and have a lot of different neutral mattes. It could be an all matte palette, or then it could have some shimmers, because then the shimmers I can get from liquids, which, as I said, I do like currently quite a bit. But these are the palettes I have right now. I do have 4, so let's go over them. I also do have some plan to pan thoughts in here. Well, first of all, I will say I do have the Catrice the Pure Nude eyeshadow palette. I don't even wear this palette on my eyes anymore, except sometimes I do wear these whites for highlighting, and well, maybe sometimes the matte white as my lid shade. But this one is the perfect product to do my brows, and that's why I have hit so many pans on the browns. So I tend to use all of these 3 brown shades when I create my eyebrow look. Now that I have gone back to blonde, I do use less of the darker one, however. I don't like these mattes at all on my eyes, however, they're too ashy in tone for my skin. And then the shimmers in here, I also don't like them. This one is more like a gold, but it's always full of, I don't know, it even when I swatch it, it looks sort of dirty. Well, I don't know, now that I look at it, I think it looks pretty. I think it looks always so dirty because the fallout of these mattes goes into this, and these are pretty powdery. But yeah, I'm going to keep this one, and I have no reason to declutter it anytime soon. I have had it for about a year, and you know, if I use this only on my brows, it doesn't matter if it is a little bit older. I would say, however, in general, 3 years is now the time that I would be willing to keep an eyeshadow palette. But if the eyeshadows are something that I would only use on my brows, then it would be fine if it's a little bit older. Okay, so then I do have the ABH Soft Glam eyeshadow palette, which is my oldest eyeshadow palette. This will be 2 years old, somewhere in the really beginning of next year. So I actually have been thinking that even though I said in my Pan Palette finale video that I would not do a Pan Palette anymore, I think I have maybe changed my mind, and I'm really considering doing a Pan Palette with this one. However, I just need to take a way more chill approach to Pan Palette and not try to focus on progress as much than just enjoy the process and enjoy the palette. So yeah, let's take a look at what it looks like. I have hit 1 pan because I was doing Pantos eyeshadows when I got this palette, and yeah, this one got randomized and I hit pan on that project. But otherwise this palette is not too much used, and I would like to get some more use out of it before it gets to the 3-year age. So yeah, I am thinking of making this one my next year's Pan palette. Let me know what you think. As I said, if I'm going to do a Pan palette, I don't want it to be so heavily focused on progress, but I think a realistic goal might be to try to hit pan on all of the shades. Let me know if you want to see me doing Pan palette with this, even if the progress that I make is a little bit slower. But yeah, this one is a beautiful palette. It's kind of like a nice mix of warm tones and some kind of like romantic shades. Although I will say, a lot of the times people say that this one is a really easy kind of like no-brainer palette and something that you always get a really natural makeup look. I don't necessarily think that's the case for me, because I tend to get from this palette quite heavy eyeshadow looks, even though the palette is neutral. But you know, the colors still, they are really intense. ABH has a lot of pigmentation in the eyeshadows, And in general, I don't think the palette is super light. Like, yes, the first 6 shades are, but then there's the darker end here. And then also this one doesn't have shades that on me would be like truly neutral shades that I could just do an easy like eye contour look that doesn't even look so much like eyeshadow. These clearly lean more pink or more orange on my skin. Then I do have the Juvia's Place, the Nubian Earth eyeshadow palette, which I bought in the beginning of this year on Juvia's Place sale. Like, I only paid what, 5 or 6 euros for this palette, and I had been previously watching some reviews and I was curious. However, unfortunately I didn't end up liking it quite so much as I was hoping for, but I do still think it's pretty. But a lot of these shades I feel on me go a little bit more yellow, what I was hoping for, especially like these golds over here, they're really yellow. This one also. This peach over here is pretty, but the formula is not good at all. So I don't know, but then again, I don't want to declutter this palette because, you know, this shade here looks a little bit rough already. So yeah, I wouldn't want to give it to anyone anymore. And I don't hate this palette, it just didn't end up being my absolute favorite. I'm going to keep this palette for now, and we'll see. If I'm going to do a painted palette next year, it's going to be the ABH Soft Glam one. Because of the age, I wouldn't be comfortable keeping it for longer than the next year. But maybe the year after that, I might give this one a chance as my painted palette. My favorite shade, I will say, is this one. I was talking about the volcanic shade from the iconic London Glaze Crayon, and I do think it's probably pretty similar to this one. Or maybe the volcanic one is a little bit cooler, darker, I'm not sure. But this one is something that I do wear if I want to go for kind of like soft smoky eye. It's really nice. But yeah, I'm going to keep it for now, but yeah, unfortunately not my favorite ever. But also I feel I have not given this one a proper chance yet, even though I was supposed to be kind of like focused on this one this summer, but then I have not ended up wearing any eyeshadow, or if I have worn eyeshadow, I have just gone for like a basic matte eyeshadow look. Speaking of basic mattes, this is my newest palette. I bought this for myself for my birthday, and it's my favorite palette. And I know it's such a boring palette, but it's perfect for me. So this is the Sosu All Matte Everything Eyeshadow Palette. As you can see, it is a neutral matte eyeshadow palette, and this one is what I call like a truly neutral palette. Doesn't lean pink, doesn't lean orange, it just has browns that have a little bit different tones, and then there's some of those like skin tone-ish for me shades, or even lighter. I will say this palette is probably something that doesn't work for deeper skin tone, because the only shades here that are really dark are, well, the black. This brown also looks now on the screen quite dark, but in reality it's not super dark. Let me swatch it to you. So there you can see it's not like a really dark brown by any means. Nice brown, something that I do use to deepening looks, but yeah. I like this palette maybe because it's not packed with pigment, because a lot of the times, as I said with ABH, because the shades are so pigmented, I tend to get too heavy looks. And I'm not saying that these are really sheer and you always need to build them up. No, that's not at all what I mean. But I do think these shades are something that are easier to control. So there's examples of a couple of the mattes. I really do like this formula actually. And I'm just saying it's not necessarily for everyone. If you want some really intense pigmented eyeshadows, this is not necessarily for you. But if you want a user-friendly, kind of like easy to use, a no-brainer palette that has your basic matte eyeshadows, then this is a great option and a great price too. So yeah, for sure going to keep this. It's my favorite palette from all of my palettes. Okay, so that was really everything for today. These are still all of the products that I decided to declutter right now. So the eyeshadow primer and the eyeliner that have been open for way longer what the shelf life says. So I'm just replacing them with a new one. Then these eyeshadows that I don't like, either because of the color or the formula. Then, as I said, there's quite a bit of products that I'm either actively panning right now or considering putting them to a project soon enough. That's everything for this eye makeup video. The next part to this will be lip products, but before that I actually do have my summer lip product usage video. But yeah, that's everything for today. Thank you so much for watching this video and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye bye!